Welcome to the deep dive. We do the heavy reading so you can get right to the core insights.
And today, we are really carrying into the mindset of high achievement using Brian Tracy's Get Smart as our guide.
Our mission here is to go way beyond, the usual self-help talk.
Exactly. We're pulling out the actual psychological models, the sort of mental algorithms that the most successful people use to get ahead and stay there. You've given us the sources.
And we are giving you the actionable habits. We know you're drowning in information.
So we're aiming to give you a clear roadmap from why your IQ score is basically irrelevant.
To the very counterintuitive idea that you actually need to embrace mistakes if you want to innovate faster. If you're looking to accelerate your own path, this is a deep dive you won't want to miss. Okay, so let's start with this foundational idea, which is, frankly, a pretty radical way to redefine being smart.
It really is. The sources just throw out the traditional view of intelligence as some fixed IQ score.
So what is it then, if not a score on a test?
It's your ability to accurately predict the consequences of your actions. That's it.
I find that so powerful. It moves intelligence from a trait to a skill.
A behavior you can cultivate. High-quality thinking leads to high-quality outcomes. Simple as that.
And the flip side of that coin is what our sources call the law of unintended consequences.
Precisely. And this is why, so many people get derailed in the long run. We're all wired to chase that short-term gain.
That quick dopamine hit.
Exactly. But those quick fix decisions often create these huge negative long-term effects.
It's the classic trap, right? Whether it's your diet, your spending. The source even points to the retirement crisis.
Yeah, it's not that people didn't earn enough money. It's that immediate spending always felt more important than saving for a future 30 years away.
Which brings us to the long-term perspective. The whole millionaire next door concept fits right in here.
It's the perfect example. Wealth isn't usually from one big windfall. It's from small, disciplined savings that compound over decades.
But that's the hard part. How do you, the listener, actually make that long-term view practical when today's pressures are so overwhelming?
Well, the sources offer this amazing technique. It's called back from the future thinking.
Okay, break that down.
Instead of starting from today and looking forward, which kind of limits you, you mentally jump ahead 5, 10 years. You visualize your ideal reality in vivid detail.
Your perfect career, health, finances, everything.
Everything. You define that future as a fixed point. And once it's real in your mind, you look back at today from that future.
So you're not asking, what can I do?
No, you're asking, what must I do starting right now to make that future happen? It forces you to act with urgency on the things that actually matter.
That's a great tool, but it requires discipline because our natural impulse is just to rush.
And that brings us to the next big idea. The absolute necessity of slowing down your thinking.
You're talking about Daniel Kahneman's work, right? Fast and slow thinking.
Exactly. Most of us live in that reactive, fast thinking mode. We're just responding to things automatically.
And that's where the big mistakes happen. We don't stop to consider those second or third order consequences.
Right. So if our brain defaults to speed, the question is, how do you force it into that slower, more analytical gear?
The sources give a couple of really practical rules for this. The first is the 72-hour rule.
Yeah, for any major decision, a big purchase, a career change, you give yourself 3 full days.
Just to sit with it, sleep on it.
And then there's the 30-day rule, which is critical for anyone in a leadership role.
Don't finalize hiring decisions for a month.
Because a hasty judgment on people can be one of the costliest errors any business can make.
And while you're taking that time, the quality of your decision really depends on the facts you're using.
I love that quote from Harold Jean. Real facts, not the obvious facts, or assumed facts, or hoped-for facts.
That's a huge distinction. We think we're using facts, but a lot of the time it's just optimism.
Well, look at the statistic the source uses. 80% of new products fail.
80%, even with millions spent on market research.
It's shocking. It tells you that 4 out of 5 times, companies were acting on what they hoped the customer wanted, not what they really wanted.
So to avoid that, you need a framework. The sources suggest something called the JOSPE model.
Right, it's just a tool to force clarity. JOSPE stands for goals, objectives, strategies, priorities, and actions. Sounds a bit corporate. It can, but think of it like planning a trip. Your goal is the destination. Your objectives are booking the flight and hotel. Your strategy is flying versus driving.
And your priorities tell you to book the flight before you pack your suitcase.
Exactly. And the actions are the daily tasks. It just forces every small step to align with the final destination.
And that idea of alignment is the perfect segue to the engine of all achievement goals.
Because all the slow thinking in the world is useless if you're pointed in the wrong direction.
The sources quote all these self-made millionaires, and the consensus is just success is goals, and all else is commentary.
That's the core of it. The author even hears a personal story about how just writing down his goals led to promotions within a month, even after he'd lost the list.
So why is the physical act of writing it down so important?
It makes a vague wish into a concrete commitment. It engages your subconscious mind. It forces you to be clear.
But clarity isn't enough, right? You need a structure, a roadmap.
And that's the 7-step process they lay out. This is really where the theory becomes practice.
Let's walk through it. The first 3 are about clarity.
1, define the goal. Be specific. 2, write it down. That's the commitment part.
And 3, set a deadline. Without a deadline, it's just a daydream.
Exactly. Now, the next 4 steps are where most people fall off. This is the execution.
Okay, so step 4 is to make a list of everything you need to do to get there.
Everything. And then step 5, and this is the crucial one, you organize that list into a prioritized plan. You have to know what matters most right now.
Then step 6 is just to take action immediately.
Nothing happens until something moves.
And finally, step 7, do something every single day that moves you toward your goal.
That daily discipline is what builds momentum. And this whole process moves you from being activity-oriented to result-oriented.
It's not about the hours you put in at your desk.
No, it's about your earning ability, which is just your capacity to get results people will pay for.
It's the 80-20 rule, right?
Yeah.
20% of your activities are probably driving 80% of your valuable results.
Which leads right to the law of 3. Instead of a long to-do list, you identify the 3 tasks that contribute 90% of your value.
And you focus on just those 3.
You single-handle them. Focus on one until it is 100% done. No distractions.
That is so hard to do in practice. The phone is always buzzing.
It requires a mental fortress. And a key habit here is to plan your next day the night before.
So you wake up already knowing your top 3 priorities.
Your subconscious works on it overnight. You hit the ground running. No wasted energy in the morning trying to figure out what's important.
Okay, so from personal productivity, let's zoom out to innovation and adaptability. In today's world, being rigid is, well, it's a death sentence.
There was a study from the Menninger Institute that said flexibility is the single most important quality for success in the 21st century.
Just look at the BlackBerry versus the iPhone.
A perfect and painful example. BlackBerry was so committed to its physical keyboard, so rigid in their thinking, that they completely missed the shift to touchscreens.
And their market just vanished. So the lesson is you have to be willing to scrap what isn't working, no matter how much you've invested.
This is where zero-based thinking comes in.
Okay, what's that?
You mentally reset everything to 0. You look at every project, every commitment, every relationship, and you ask one powerful question.
Your K-Wink question.
Your K-Link question. Knowing what I would I get into this situation again today?
So let's make that real for the listener. Say you've got a side project that's just draining your energy and not making money.
You apply the question. Knowing what you now know about the time, the cost, the market, would you start it today? If the answer is no,
you have to have the courage to cut it loose.
Immediately. It frees up your energy and resources for things that actually have a future.
But I imagine the fear of failure is what keeps a lot of people stuck in these situations.
It is. But creative thinkers completely reframe failure. They see mistakes as pure data, high-value feedback.
Which leads to that incredible insight. If you want to succeed faster, you must double your rate of failure.
Yes, because there is no failure. There is only feedback.
And that mindset drives this cycle of constant improvement.
Which is the Canny principle. Continuous and never-ending improvement. It's a systematic process. Define the problem, explore different ways of seeing it, and identify multiple possible solutions. It's creativity with a method.
We've covered a lot of external strategy, but let's end with the internal game. Wealth and happiness.
This is probably the most foundational piece. It starts with the law of correspondence.
As within, so without.
Meaning, your external world is really just a mirror of your internal world. Your thoughts, your beliefs, they create your reality.
So to achieve wealth on the outside, you first have to adopt the mindset of wealth on the inside.
You have to believe in your own value first. And the ultimate measure of success, according to the source, isn't the money itself,
It's how happy you are most of the time.
which means your main job in life is to eliminate the negative emotions that are holding you back.
And the analysis traces almost all of those negative emotions, anger, resentment, jealousy, back to a single root cause.
Blame. Every negative emotion requires you to point a finger at someone or something else for your situation.
And so the antidote, the path to real self-esteem and happiness, is to accept.
100% responsibility for everything you are and for everything you will become.
You stop waiting for an apology or for someone else to fix it.
The affirmation is simple. I am responsible. It gives you back all the power. Now, while that mindset is absolutely crucial, we do have to apply some of that slow thinking we talked about.
What do you mean?
I mean, the sources are careful to add a bit of nuance. Focusing only on mindset can sometimes oversimplify things. There are real socioeconomic factors, real systemic challenges out there.
Of course.
This mindset isn't a magic wand that erases those barriers, but it is the only effective tool you have to navigate them. It gives you internal control in a world you can't always control.
We have covered so much ground today, from redefining intelligence all the way to the 7-step process for achieving your goals.
I think the biggest theme running through it all is that high performance comes from deliberate thinking. It's about slowing down, getting clarity with things like back from the future thinking.
And constantly questioning what you're doing with that K-Wink method.
But the idea that's probably the most transformative is the one about your own freedom, your mental and emotional freedom.
We said that success is measured by your sustained happiness.
And that happiness requires eliminating blame, which means you face a choice every single day.
So here's the final thought we want you to chew on this week. What is the one situation, the one major point of stress or dissatisfaction in your life right now that you are actively blaming on someone else or on circumstances outside your control?
And once you've identified it, ask yourself, what is one small, immediate action you could take today to accept 100% responsibility for moving forward? That small shift in acceptance is where your power truly lies.
Take that action. You are responsible. We'll see you next time for the next deep dive.